Hello, so I normally have the camera on so you can see me, but I just got back from jogging, so you don't want to see me, right? All right, so let's work some of your homework problems. You want to? So this is chapter 3, section 5, which was periodic functions. So I want to find derivatives of periodic functions. So the first one that I see says P equals 5 plus 6 cosine of t. I want to find the derivative, and I know that the derivative of 5 is just 0 because that goes away. The 6 is a coefficient, so it goes out front. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. And now I can just make this look better and move things around to get my final answer. All right, want to do another one? Let's do another one. So your next problem, what happened? I don't know. Your next problem says y equals 2 sine of x. Well, come on, man, that one's easy, right? Put the 2 out front. The derivative of sine is cosine. Good job. All right, and then next we have number tree, which is r of q equals q to the 6 minus 3 cosine q. And I want to find the derivative. So the first one's the power rule. Bring the 6 down, pass it around, 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and subtract 1, right? So I brought the 6 down, and then I subtracted 1. All right, and so the derivative of cosine is negative sine, so a negative and a negative is going to give me a positive, and then sine of q. All right, next, number 4 is f of x equals sine of 5x. Now, this is one that you should hopefully get where you're recognizing that this is a chain rule. My outside function is sine of something. So we'll call that y equals sine of something. How about you, man? And then my inside function is this that's inside the parentheses. So that's my inside. And thus u equals 5x. So I'm going to take derivatives of both of these. And thus I get the derivative of sine, which is cosine. The derivative of 5x, which is just 5. So I multiply. And then finally, I have to plug back in my substitution. And that's my final answer. Where also, this is where I said the other way is, so that's if you like doing the stuff over on the side with your substitution. The other way is the derivative of the sine is cosine and leave the inside alone times the derivative of the inside. So you see we get the same answer, right? But that's just kind of the shortcut way. Alrighty. Next I have 1, 2, 3, 4. What am I at? Number 5, hopefully. I don't know. I'm just going in order of the homework, but I'm writing and nothing's happening. Ooh, that's a pretty 5. So this is w equals 2 cosine t to the 4th. Once again, my outside is 2 cosine of u. My inside is t to the 4th. So my derivative is going to be negative 2 sine u. My derivative is going to be 4t cubed. Multiply these together, so that'd be what? Negative 8t cubed sine of u. And don't you dare forget to substitute that back. So I get negative 8t cubed sine of t to the fourth as my final answer. So again, over here, if I'm doing the shortcut, the derivative of cosine is negative sine, and then times the derivative of the inside. And you see when you multiply those, you get the same answer. Okay. Next, I'm going to stop numbering these because I keep losing my numbers anyway. Y equals 2 sine 4t plus cosine of 6t. So I can see all of these are chain rules. My outside on this piece, y equals sine of u. And then my inside, u equals 4t. And then on this piece over here, my outside, y equals cosine of u. And then my inside is 6t. Away we go, taking derivatives, cosine u, 4, negative sine u, 6. So I multiply these, so that becomes 4 cosine u. I substitute my u back in, which is, where did I lose it? Oh, which is 4t. And the only thing you might have noticed, because I kind of saved this for the end, sometimes you'll see me do this. I'll bring the 2 with it, but I just kind of didn't that time. It's okay, it's all right. All I have to do is remember at the very end to multiply by 2. So that piece is 8 cosine 4t. And then over here is I get negative 6 sine of u, negative 6 sine of 6t. So you put them all together and you get 8 cosine 4t minus 6 sine of 6t. And once again, could have done this directly with, so let's do that right here. The derivative of sine is cosine times the derivative of the inside. The derivative of cosine is minus sine times the derivative of the inside. And you can see when I multiply that out, I get the same answer. So this is where I said you kind of need to decide which way you like best. Otherwise, this is going to just confuse you with seeing me do these 2 different ways. In other words, this piece right here is the shortcut way. If you like this way, then just ignore that part. If you're somebody that you like the substitution way, then ignore that part. Okay, let's see what else we got here. The next one I see is f of x equals 8x sine 5x. Right away I see that's a product rule because it's 8x times sine of 5x. So the product rule, well, let's do this since you're just learning it, is, well, never mind, forget it. The product rule says take the derivative of the first term, leave the second term alone, plus, and that was the second term, leave the first term alone, times the derivative of the second term, which this is going to be a chain rule. So sine of u, 5x, cosine u, 5 cosine u, 5x. So times 5 cosine 5x. And now I just simply multiply that last piece, 5x plus 40, 8 times 5, 40, x cosine 5x. All right, once again, shortcut way. The derivative of the first term, leave the second term alone. Leave the first term alone. The derivative of sine is cosine times the derivative of the inside. And same answer. All right, where are we? Next one is right here. So f of x equals x to the 7th. That's funny, huh? X to the 7th cosine 5x. Again, I can see that this is a product rule. So 7x to the 6th, that derivative, leave that one alone. Plus leave x to the 7th alone. Take the derivative of cosine of 5x. U equals the inside. Y prime equals negative sine of 5x. U prime equals 5. So negative 5. Oh, you probably noticed, see I'm going too fast, right? Those were U's, right? And so negative 5 sine of 5x. You can see that. My issue with this, doing it this way over here, okay, with the substitution. So times negative 5 sine of 5x. So my answer becomes 7x to the 6 cosine 5x. Let's chunk the negative out front, the 5 out front, x to the 7th sine of 5x. All right, I'll let you, I think the people doing the shortcut can pretty much see from the substitution of how I'm doing the shortcut. All right, I get f of theta sine 7 theta divided by theta. You can definitely see this as a quotient rule. So the quotient rule says, oh, I was looking at something else. The quotient rule says take the derivative of the top, which would be 7 cosine 7 theta. Are you okay with that? Y equals sine of u. U equals 7 theta. Y prime equals cosine of u. U prime equals 7. 7 cosine of u. And substitute back u. So that's how I got that piece. So that's the derivative of the bottom. Of the top, times, leave the bottom alone, minus, leave the top alone, times the derivative of the bottom. Well, theta is just like x, a variable, so the derivative would be 1. And then I square my bottom. And then all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move the theta, because again it's your variable, out front, and get rid of that 1 to get my final answer. Now I will mention to you, be sure you're doing the right theta. There's a big theta, that's not the right one. It's the very first theta that you will encounter, if that makes any sense when you're in Wiley. Okay, you're given a word problem and they give you this function, 1.5 cosine 0.507t, where they tell you the depth of water in meters is given by this function, and t is the time in hours, so time in hours after midnight. And they want you to find how quickly the tide is rising or falling, okay, and they give you a bunch of times. So I know rising and falling, I'm going to need my derivative. The derivative of 10 is just 0, goes away. The derivative of cosine, so I'm doing the outside, would be negative sine, and leave the inside alone. And then times the derivative of the inside, which is 0.507. Okay, so this is doing the shortcut way. And then I probably would just go ahead and put negative 7.5 times 0.507 in my calculator. And I mean, you don't have to, but just to make it smaller to put these values in. And so I get this for my derivative. And then they go through and they ask you 6 o'clock a.m., 8 o'clock a.m., noon, and 6 o'clock p.m. So all you're doing is where you see a T, guess what? You're going to plug in a 6. And when you do, you should get negative 0.38. But you don't put the negative in because you're going to, on the drop down box, you're going to pick falling. And so the tide is falling at 0.38. And then of course here you're going to plug in 8, here you're going to plug in 12, and here you're going to plug in 18. Okay, so on those. All right, and then the last one is I have f of x equals ln sine x plus cosine x. All right, so my outside is ln of u. My inside is sine x plus cosine x. The derivative of ln of u is 1 over u. The derivative of u, so the derivative of sine is cosine, and the derivative of cosine is minus sine. I multiply these, so in other words, this just goes up top over u. And then finally, last, I plug in what u equals, sine of x. And u was what? Sine x plus cosine x. And that's your final answer. So again, shortcut way, the derivative of ln of anything is 1 over the anything times the derivative of the anything. And guess what? It's the same answer. Okay, I'm just throwing that up there. All right, so that finishes all of 3.5. You're welcome.